Now let's implement the backend support for changing the password. And there's one thing I want to fix before we do that. So if I hit cancel, I'm not getting the navbar or the content, and that's because the navbar is loaded into a navbar area. So I'm going to go to index.php, and I'm going to copy the content of the body, which includes the navbar area, and then I'm just going to paste that into the body of this document and hit reload. Great. So now I have the content in the background and the dialog in the foreground. So in ChangePassword, I'm getting all of the correct values and then calling this ChangePassword function, method and user. And then here's that. So I'm getting username, code, password, PasswordConfirm. And the first thing I want to do is check to see whether the username is set and the password and PasswordConfirm and the code, the password matches PasswordConfirm, and then look up the code and make sure that it's the right code and do all that stuff before I actually change the password. So the structure is going to be really similar to one of these register functions, register or login. I'm going to have a bunch of tests. So I'm going to start by just copying some of these things. Password, PasswordConfirm. And I'm going to copy this whole thing just to get started. And paste. And then I have to reformat this a little bit. Okay, so if username is empty, no username, and then I don't have an email address. Password, PasswordConfirm, these are fine. I don't have an email address, so I'll get rid of that. Password not equal PasswordConfirm, that's fine. And then I also want to make sure that the code is not empty. So let's create an error for that. Let me just go ahead and copy this. Okay, so error. No reset code was supplied. And then I'll go ahead and copy that. And I'll return the error, no reset code. And check $code. All right, so if we've gotten here, we've gotten all the information we need in the password and confirm password match, an extra $sign there. So the next thing to do is to actually retrieve the user information, db lookup user, and let's go ahead and make sure that we actually have the reset code coming back when we do that. So here's lookup user, and yes, we have the reset code. And that's going to be stored in share database reset code key. So let's go ahead and check that. So this is no user found. And then here, if $code not equal user sub share database : reset code key, then return user : get status object status error user : e code incorrect. And then let's write a message for that. E code incorrect. And I'll copy that. So if we've gotten here, that means they've supplied a valid password, confirm password, and reset code that matches the username. So that means they're authorized to actually change the account password. And of course, we're not storing the password in the database. We're actually storing the password hash. So we're going to go ahead and hash the password. Instead of calling add user, we're going to call ChangePassword. Which we have to write, and we'll pass in the username and the hash. And then let's go ahead and log you in if you've changed your password. So we have the username, the role is in $user sub, shared database, : and then that's role key, and then email, and finally hash. And actually we already have the hash over here, so we'll just use that. So no need to send the verification, and we'll return status OK. So that should be everything except for this change password, which we want to do in share database. So let's go ahead and do change password. And the code for this is basically exactly the same as we used for changing the verification code and reset code. It's just a different column and value. So instead of store code, I'm actually going to refactor this, change the name, rename, and call this change column value. And we'll take a return and do refactor. Instead of code, I'm going to refactor, rename, and this is going to be value instead. And then this is just column. Hit return to refactor. So change column value, username code, verification code key, and username code, reset code key. And then this, is this going to change column value, username, hash, share database, : hash key. So that's going to change the password hash. And then we also want to make sure that we invalidate the reset code when we do this, so that if somebody else gets access to that email, they can't reuse it to change the password again. So I'm going to disable that by also changing the column value, username, an empty string, and that's going to be share database reset code key. And that should be all we need. So let's go ahead and try it. I'm going to log out, sign in, forgot my password, enter Mark, hit OK. OK. And then I'm going to go to my email, get messages, reset my password, test2, OK. Okay, so we need to make sure that this is actually finding the user instead of not finding the user. So let's go back to user. And actually, if user is found, that's what we want. So if not user found, we want to return username doesn't exist. So here we actually want the user to be there. And I'm going to call this no such username instead. No such username. And I really don't know what to tell them, but that's what I'll say. And then use a backslash to escape this single quote inside of a single quoted string. And now let's try it. So I'm going to hit OK again. And that time it worked. So let's see if the password is different. So I'm going to log out, sign in, mark test2, and that worked. So log out, sign in, mark, and then here's the old password. Doesn't work. So let's try clicking on the password reset link again. And I'm going to try test me. Reset code that was supplied is invalid. Please check your email for the latest password reset link. So the reset link is invalid. Let's try this again. I'll hit the reset link. And then go to my email, get the new reset link. Now I'll try test me. Okay, it took that, so let's see if it worked. I'll log out, sign in, test me. It worked. So I'll try an invalid, test X, doesn't work.